Hello, everyone. Today we're gonna talk with a very special guest, which is happened to be my wife, and the person that I am grateful to be basically here, this country, and in this podcast because she's my inspiration, my muse. You can say everything, but honestly, she's like a coffee expert, and because of her, I learned about this. So that's a really, really, really honor for me to introduce Claire Summers.
So here we are. So I'm Claire, Carlos's wife.
Yes.
And well, we met over coffee, really, didn't we?
Yes, basically
That was the thing that brought us together.
I didn't invite you for a drink.
So he invited me for a coffee, and at like 10 o'clock in the morning, I think we met and we drank coffee, and he ate cake. I did not. And then
yeah, you were in a very strict diet.
It wasn't a very strict diet. But the thing that I was absolutely methodical about was coffee. And actually, I'm going to tell you Carlos's dirty little secret here. He had a pod machine and was drinking coffee pods when I first met him.
Yeah, I know that.
And and I was a coffee snob backpacker who was traveling with an AirPress and a manual coffee grinder. So I soon kicked the pod machine to the curb. And I think that kind of became our ritual, wasn't it? Like when I was pregnant with Charlie, and we would get up in the morning, I would go make you coffee and make you breakfast, and we'd have breakfast in bed. And then when Charlie came, I was no longer getting out of bed in the morning to make breakfast and coffee. It kind of became your job. And when Carlos does something, he does it really well. And he got
babies.
Kind of so many babies. And you got really like into the coffee making, and it just became a bigger and bigger thing until like 3 years down the line, here we are in England, and you're selling coffee and still making me coffee every morning. Every morning he makes me coffee.
Well, yes. I mean, I can say now that I was like a British person in that way because I thought I was like fancy to have pots, especially nice pots. But then I just realized the importance of actually grind the coffee, and because I think I'm pampered, having born in a country with such a good coffee, so it was easy for me just to go get coffee everywhere. Mm-hmm. And coffee shops are not expensive. You can get most everywhere good coffee, especially in cities. Yeah. Good coffee from good regions. So I was basically very. I wanted to when we met. I wanted you to try this coffee that it was from that region, from Nayarit, and I think we engage in this world. Yeah. And yes, sometimes we struggle about getting coffee in a good way. So, but most of our staying in Mexico, it was because we enjoyed.
It's really funny you said that. Like we had when we were traveling around Nayarit.
Yes.
And there was one place and there was no coffee. And we were literally walking like, does anyone have a coffee machine in this town?
Exactly. And we were in a really nice.
And they were like with it. And it wasn't instant, but they just had really. Was it instant? I don't even know.
But you remember that place? It was a beautiful place. So we were asking for a really nice place to have coffee, and say, well, you can go to Oxxo, which is like a Tesco.
Yeah.
You can get good coffee. So like, honestly, man, really? No. So that was the thing. Like, hopefully in Mexico, there will be more coffee shops. They can do the coffee better. But here, you have all the tools and you do the opposite.
People just don't do it, right? They just don't, like, it doesn't take that long to make the coffee in the morning in the grand scheme of things.
No. But when I learned about actually the process of doing it in a good way, I just got crazy, and I understand my life is not gonna change. Like it's never gonna go back. And now I'm here trying basically to do an impossible task to make the British people understand why it's not a good thing to drink instant coffee, because that's not even coffee.
So when my like awakening story, if you like, I was in Guatemala. And I think you've heard this already, maybe. And I was at the top of a volcano. Mm-hmm. I'd gone for an early morning sunrise walk with a geologist. It was part of like a tour. We'd hiked up. And he said that he would bring the coffee. And he's like, okay, so how do you want your coffee? I do not do milk. You are not allowed any milk in your coffee. It is an absolute sin. You can have a little bit of like panela, which is like the raw sugar. So you can have a little bit of that, but absolutely no milk. And that was the first time. And I just sat there and I drank this. I mean, Guatemalan coffee is super good. So it was like local. The guy grinds and then he makes it and brings it up. Just sat there drinking this coffee, looking out across these volcanoes like, oh my God, this is amazing. And for me, there was no going back from there. And then I met other people and I got an AirPress and a grinder. And then after that, you can't go back. Like if I go to someone's house and they ask me if I want a coffee, I will not say yes unless I know. I'm not. If think I'm getting instant, like there's absolutely no way I'm taking coffee from you. You can give me a tea. I'm not taking the coffee. You can keep your instant coffee.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is sometimes when we got invited to places in here, and say, "Would like any tea or coffee?" And say, "No, like sorry, but
I'm not drinking your coffee."
I'm trying to get into the tea, but not coffee.
Uncle Mark has a coffee machine.
Yeah.
No one else.
yeah, but I mean, but still, it's like, and I don't do coffee with milk. Sorry, but that's what I'm saying.
A little bit of milk in proper coffee, I can accept.
The flat white is something that I think is from here, and it's okay. But just to give you an idea how crazy I am about the coffee, is like I remember like 5 years ago, I went to Rome for a full week to have coffee in different ways because it's something that I don't know how to explain, that obviously caffeine, but how it's processed and how it's made, it's incredible. So that's why right now my brain doesn't tolerate alcohol. I used to drink alcohol, but I think my only, I don't know, like pamper way to excel my senses is through coffee and in the morning. And I love it. And especially something that I can share. And we share this passion.
I mean, even Charlie helps us grind the beans,
yeah,
right?
He's like, right now, he's a 3-year-old guy. And he smells and says, no, that's the only thing that you can do, man. Is just to smell.
So I was making the coffee the other morning, which is a rare occurrence in our house. And I'm always teaching him everything. And I put the beans into the machine, and he was pressing the button. No, and I put the beans into the machine, and he looked at me like I'd done something wrong. He went, "Smell, mummy." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he's like, and a sniff, and then he was like helping me to grind the beans.
Coffee daddy. And I show him the process, but he cannot allow that. He's not allowed for the coffee,
Of course.
obviously. But
you say that though. When I lived in Guatemala, they give the children coffee. No, they do, like in the bottle. I was like, you give babies, like, it's very watered down. It helps them sleep. I was like,
no.
Okay, no.
But honestly, I have did my research, and it's not caffeine for children.
No, I know, but they do. That's what I'm saying.
But you can do everything.
I was living with a 7-year-old.
People used to smoke when they were pregnant. So yes,
Okay.
something. I get it.
So I feel like I am partly to blame for this, like, coffee. I feel like I had like a coffee thing, and then you like took it to the next level. And I suppose one of my questions was about like single origin. So at the moment with Ethnico, we're just doing single origin beans who just come from one place. Because I didn't know when you're buying coffee, like a Colombian coffee, it's actually from multiple coffee farms, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really, it's a different taste. It's a blend, and then that's a whole thing. And for me, like having that single origin, it's like whiskey, right?
But I mean, yes, that's the thing. Like again, like here in the country, you can be very clear about like the whiskey and the single malt and the whole things and the wines, and go very that, and then you go for a drink coffee, which is yes, it's a commodity, but it's a really like love source. Like people, it's a very important thing, and I just don't understand. That's why at the beginning in this first productions collections has to come from my region, Central American basket, because I know my people and they put love into their work, and sometimes they're not get rewarded.
Yeah, so I can tell you now, like I've been to the coffee farms, and they talk you through the process. And as the coffee comes through, the beans that are bad, that don't make the grade, they're the ones that are going to make your instant coffee, like the worst of the worst. So why would you do that? Why would you want to drink that?
But that's just the process to learn.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully this podcast help people to
Help
try
educate.
to
Yeah, it
get
really doesn't take
educate.
that much time.
No. I mean, honestly, it's just 5 minutes of your time. So that's the idea. Well, I'm very grateful for you to be here.
You finally have a conversation with me about children
Yeah.
screaming and
great,
shouting.
Great 10 minutes of my life to speak about something that is not babies, business,
You're welcome.
bills, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you. Thank you
for
very much
having
for
me.
your time. I hope you enjoy the conversation and you're feeling inspired to brew your next cup with a little more intention. If you like what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more coffee tips, behind the scenes, and exclusive offers, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're ready to level up your coffee ritual, head to our website, etnicocoffee.com. Keep exploring and always savor the moment. See you in the next episode.